Good day, my friend. There was a famous New York sportscaster by the name of Jimmy Cannon. And he had this one particular column years ago that said, "Nobody asked me but." And it provided kind of a version of what was happening, kind of a nobody asked me but. So that's pretty much the essence of what this is. Nobody asked me but. And I wanted to take this opportunity because I think you need it because I do a lot of investigative stuff. I'm kind of a unique character of sorts because I believe it or not, more often than not, that the real interesting thing is not the story, but your reaction to it. It's not the story. It's not the news story. It's how you react to it. It's how people react to it. And today I found myself, and you probably the same way, overwhelmed where you're saying, I can't take any more data. I can't take any more news. Planes falling out of the sky. Squatters, Trump's trial, Klaus Schwab. He's leaving World Economic Forum. What the hell's going on? Israel, Gaza, claims of anti-Semitism, Biden. It's this never-ending avalanche. Then you've got Diddy, and this what fascinates me is this absolute cacophony, this deluge of some of the most demented people in the world of, I guess, hip hop or music or rap, whatever the hell it is. I don't understand how some of these folks ever signed a contract or found their way to a studio. I mean it. And of course, when you say that, they go, "Oh, what are you getting at?" You know exactly what I'm getting at. These people are cretins. I'm still going crazy over this Abby Phillip interview with Cameron. I think that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. What was that about? Then you hear people who different do you have friends of yours who are, dare I say, more conspiratorial than others? And I hate that word, and I know you hate it too, because you're probably called a conspiracy theorist, right? Don't you love that? Conspiracy theory, or as Gore Vidal said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. So anyway, so you see these folks, and what do? Some are interested in certain things like Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, New World Order, globalism, the Great Reset. And then you have other friends of yours who say, "What in the hell? Who are you talking about? Klaus Schwab? Charles Schwab? No, Klaus Schwab, the guy. Who the hell's that? What do you mean? Who's that?" You notice that? And then you think, I've got to go to people who recognize this. Then you hear this new news just when you think, okay, it's pretty calm. Then you hear this news today that pursuant to information which was made available by virtue of applications and search warrant materials and the like, it turns out that the federal government, upon seizing and conducting a search warrant in Mar-a-Lago, they were authorized to issue or to use deadly force. For what? Against Barron? If somebody says, "Hey, that's my dad's stuff." What is happening? Now, did we get that from CNN? No. Did we get that from Fox? No. Who did we get it from? Independent. Well, maybe not so much independent, but citizen, civilian, and alternative journalists. And God bless them. God bless them. In fact, I wanted to give you a way to go and an attaboy or attagirl or atta-they, whatever the particular words is, to Julie Kelly, who's just phenomenal today. Phenomenal. And then there's a story about, by the way, this just to go back to this Klaus Schwab thing. Do you think that his stepping down means anything? Do you think that the new world order that people laugh at, unless you're George W. Bush, unless you're Henry Kissinger, unless you're, anyway, do you think that his stepping down means anything? Of course not. Of course not. I have friends of mine, you probably do too, who've never heard of Schwab. They have no idea what the World Economic Forum is. They don't know. It's like, where do you hate them? Because they watch Fox News. They watch Fox News, the romper room for news. It hits you over the head. It's so blatant, so obvious, so jejune, so juvenescent, so puerile, so monumentally just simple. But here's the thing. Yes, behold the explosion and collapse and the collapse of our republic. The explosion and the collapse of our republic. It's exploding. It's also imploding, dare I say. So what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do now that I've pointed this out to you? And now that you're saying, okay, great. What am I supposed to do now? What do I do now that you've told me that there's this terrible thing going on and that there's this implosion or explosion? What am I supposed to do? Great. Now that you've said that, what am I supposed to do? The first thing you have to do is you have to understand. You have to make yourself conversant with the facts. And the facts hurt. They hurt you. They're not fun. Number one. Number two, you've got to vote. Now listen to me and listen good. Now, I don't know you and you don't know me. We've never met. But how do you do? Nice to meet you. I am not, nor have I ever been, a Republican. I never liked them. I grew up, I thought they were kind of stodgy and boring, and they were like the country club. They just didn't do anything for me. Because the cool people years ago, when I was growing up in the 60s, when I was a kid, the cool people were the Democrats. The ones who wanted to stop the war, and they believed in civil rights and gay rights and female rights and women's rights. And they were great, great people. They were fun and they were exciting and they were lucid and they were rational, right? I don't know about you, but that's what I thought. That's what I thought. They wanted to stop the war. And the Republicans were, well, they were whatever they were. Well, that's all over with now. Now it has completely and totally and absolutely changed. The world, it is indeed a great reset. I have this thing, one of my favorite little trinkets here. I got this at the Dollar Tree store. Well, now it's a $1.50 store. And in fact, the old one is out of business. But I like the Dollar Tree. Mrs. Ellen, I'm sorry, I like it. And I like to go in and just look. Do you know that was one of, in fact, could be one of the largest suppliers or vendors or markets for food. People needed that. Very, very cheap in price, but in any event. But I got this. It's a globe. And when we were a kid, we were into globes. I've got a big globe over here because you've got to see the notion of where things are and where they configure. You have to see a globe. You have to see it. The one thing that you will never see on any kind of American, or I would say almost Western, but American TV news is a globe or a map. Maps mean nothing except to clutter up some B-roll. You notice how sometimes they'll say there's an explosion in West Virginia, and they have a kind of a shadow of West Virginia and a star, and that's it. Why? Just to fill up the space, to give you a graphic, to give you something to look at, because that's what the media do. The soon-to-be X media, the Osios, the ossified, the concretized, the old-fashioned media. But that's what they do. They showed you a map just to give you something. But you have to look at this. And if you want to understand Israel, and if you want to understand Gaza and Palestine and Rafah and the Sinai and Egypt, you have to look at, you must be conversant. But for some reason in our education, we just put this away. We don't know anything. I don't know why about geography. We don't know anything about it. So what do? Get a globe. Become conversant with the gates of what is it called? Gates of misery. Where the gates of, where the Houthis roll on the way to the Red Sea. I'm the Black Sea. This is the most incredible thing in the world. Understand the proximity of places. Understand where people are crowded. We Americans live in this expanse. We have nothing. We have no anything. We have Americans. It's Southerners. We got New Orleans. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, California. That's it. We can't understand. We also don't understand people making claims for land. We do that. Nobody does it to us. Understand what's happening. Then what do you do too? Become conversant with the First Amendment. Become conversant and understand what the Constitution is, and understand that the First Amendment does not guarantee your individual rights to explicate and to expatiate and to limn and to describe everything you feel anywhere that you are. You know that's true. Congress shall pass no law. Congress. And then through incorporation by reference, the states. But your right to speak is limited by the Constitution, but limits, I should say, the government. Let me also say that there's not too much that you're limited upon doing. The only Bill of Rights provision, the only one that a private citizen can violate, because you cannot violate the First Amendment, you can't violate the Second Amendment, or the Third, unless you're quartering soldiers against somebody's will at their house. No, you can't. The only one is the 13th Amendment, is slavery. That's the only one. Be conversant. Be aware of what they're trying to do. They're trying to destroy our ability to speak. They want to take our thoughts. They want to criminalize thoughts. I'm going to tell you this again. They want to criminalize thoughts. I'm going to say this again. They want to criminalize thoughts. During the Israel-Palestinian discussion, somewhere along the line, somebody suggested that if you say something, if you believe something, if you opine, if you utter a thought that is against, and I'm being very general, either against Israel, against Israeli policy, against the Israeli military, against Bibi, against Zionism, against certainly against Judaism, I think that would certainly, qualify definitely as anti-Semitic. But if you were just to say, you know what, I don't particularly like this, you were called anti-Semitic. And if you said, excuse me, I'm Jewish, it doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? How am I anti-Semitic? All right. So what they wanted to do then was to pass a law which says you cannot say something, utter something, emote, believe, express something which is deemed by someone to be anti-Semitic. This is a version of hate crimes. When hate crimes came out a while back, I was railing against hate crimes. I would tell people, stop with your hate crimes. You don't want a hate crime law. You don't want to do this. Why? Let me explain this to you. A hate crime is something which tends to, and perhaps, I don't know why, but it penalizes hate. Hate is protected speech. You may not like that. That may surprise you, but hate is protected. Hate is protected speech. You can hate anything, hate anyone. You can hate anything. Hate the Yankees, hate the Red Sox, hate bin Laden, hate anybody. So long as that hate does not involve itself in the expression of hate via some type of physical activity, namely violence or destruction of property or whatever. Short of that, hate away. Utter hate, whatever you want. So what they did was they would take, in the old days of hate crimes, or still here, they would take something which was cognizable at law, a criminal statute, let's say battery, assault, whatever it is, which, of course, again, you had a law against that. And if you dare to utter a thought, dare to utter a constitutionally protected thought, in addition to something which is cognizable at law as a crime, they would aggravate the offense and make it even more severe because you dared to indicate that you were motivated by hate. You were motivated by an improper thought. It is a hate crime. But people said, but that's awful. Fine, address the crime in sentencing, but don't address the motivation. And by the way, speaking of hate crimes, there's no such thing as a love crime. You can't have your sentence mitigated because you love somebody. Some of the worst forms of criminality and horrors have been exhibited through people in the midst of supposed love, and that doesn't make any sense. Years ago, there was a case in New York where there was a court of appeals case where there was this fellow who decided he wanted to rob these people who met, and they turned out to be gay. And they would meet in this one particular area, and he robbed them. And he waited and he robbed them. And when apprehended, they said, did you rob these people because they were gay? He said, yes. He goes, aha. It's a hate crime. He says, well, no. He says, I don't hate them. I just thought they wouldn't put up a fight. Turns out he was very wrong, but it wasn't out of animus. It was targeting my victim, much like a person sometimes would target elderly people because they would put up less of a resistance, or they would. I guess a rapist targets women. I mean, it's there's the targeting of something does not necessarily indicate animus other than the criminal intent that is required to commit the crime in the first place. There was another case where somebody during the course of a fight referred to the gay pejorative, the F word, which also is a British term for a cigarette or a bunch of sticks. I think you know what it is. When asked, they said, "Did you say this?" Yes. He goes, it's a hate crime. He says, "No." He said, "I'm gay myself, and that's a word that I use." Just like sometimes African Americans will use the N word without necessarily using it the same way a racist would. The bottom line is you've got to remove yourself from any kind of an attempt to limit speech, because what it is it expresses hate, or it expresses evil, or it expresses something wrong. You can't do that. So what do? You learn about the rules. You fight like mad to make sure that whatever you do, you maintain the efficacy, the legitimacy, to keep intact the provisions of our Constitution. We are a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. You know that, and I know that. And vote. And one word on voting. Let me explain this to you. As I was saying before, I was never really a Republican. I'm an independent, whatever the hell that means. Democrats, they're gone. They're just gone. I don't know what they're about. I have no idea. I don't know how the party of Jack Kennedy ended up like this. But Donald Trump is a chemotherapy. Donald Trump is chemotherapy for this country. Chemotherapy is a substance which, if given to somebody who is healthy, will kill them. But if somebody has cancer, it kills the cancer. You only use it. What I'm saying to you, my friends, is, Donald Trump he may not be necessary when things are swell. He may not be necessary when things are going well, when the world is not free falling into this implosion mess. And I don't know when that is. But you have to look at him as he is required to fix this. And you may not like him. And this does not sound like I'm voting for him 100%. Absolutely. There's no doubt. I'll tell you why in a moment. I think I am now, but I'm going to really clarify for you. And there's something in what you've got to understand something. He can fix this, or he can try to correct it. He could try to reset what he had going before this jadrul, this dotard, this senescent dotard, this coot got into office. And when I ask my friends, and when I ask them, it's very, very simple. And it's a very simple phrase. It's kind of like, Nixon's the one. Remember that? And I like Ike, and all these phrases. Mine's simple. I ask especially my Democratic friends, I said, do you want 4 more years of this shit? That simple, my friends. That simple. Do you want 4 more years of this? I can't take it. I can't take 1 more day of this. I can't take 1 single day more of this. I can't. It kills me. It's killing me. It puts me in a mood where I cannot believe what is happening, and I can't believe the world I am living in. Right now, as I speak to you, there is about 167 or 8 days. 168 days until the election. 168 days. Do you hear that? And I don't care what you read. You people say, I just wish he'd not tweet and say, would you shut up with this? It's the lamest excuse. Look at what this man is doing. Things are getting better. I'm in New York City and I'm noticing things are better on the street. I'm noticing, have you noticed too, where people are coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden and say, Bill Maher? Oh, you're not a lefty anymore? Oh no, there's no money in that. Jerry Seinfeld? Oh no, I'm not into this. Bill Burr? Oh, I'm not. Cat Williams? Where is Cat? Where is Cat Williams? Oh, I think they told Cat, that's enough. That's enough, Cat. Cat was doing terrific. In fact, it even turned into the most important person on any kind of media platform today is Joe Rogan, whether you like it or not, it's true. But when I saw Cat Williams up with Joe Rogan, I realized this guy was so waxed, so gooned, so halal, so, as we say in West Tampa, so beat the out. He was so waxed on whatever this kush or whatever this animal tranquilizer weed was. He was making absolutely no sense whatsoever. The Cat does much better with a couple of, Courvoisiers under his belt. But there is a new flavor from Russell Brand to other people who are coming out of the woodwork. And you're seeing this absolute fact. First of all, the left and right don't exist in this country. There's no such thing as it. They're two sides of the same coin. The illusion of the left-right paradigm. Carol Quigley was right. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to war, both sides, the uniparty. And by the way, this is an old term. Wendell Willkie came up with that, at least the earliest that most people remember. There is only one side. Look at the Middle East. Look at Ukraine. I mean, it's one message. Look at during COVID, it was 100%. I say, where are the distinctions? Where are they? And don't think for 1 minute that Fox News has anything to do with Donald Trump. And I hope Donald Trump doesn't forget that those are rat bastards. Those people had absolutely nothing to do with Trump. They would have loved some mealy-mouthed Mitt Romney or somebody they could push around, because Trump is this freak. Trump is like, what is this? What is this? He was like, he's like the Ramones. What is this? It's popular. I know, but what is it? Is it rock? Is it this? Is it what is it? Think about that. He's chemotherapy. He's the Ramones. You do the metaphor you want. All right, my friends, and that's it. Remember, do not lose faith, but you must educate yourself. Pay attention, educate, learn the rules, learn the Constitution, learn what's going on. And don't get too bogged down by all of the news. It's enough to get, blessed are the clueless. Ignorance is indeed bliss. And there's a lot of blissful people out there. Don't get too wrapped up in this. Understand you can't change everything, but at least know. At least know what's going on. Okay? That's all. And follow me, dear friends, at Lionel Nation on YouTube. I would be so honored. And until we meet again, my friends, I'd love to see your thoughts in the comments. Remember this, as I always end with this particular iteration of such, I always say comment. I mean this. I beg, beseech, import you, and ask, entreat you to comment as you see fit.